Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and as a child of the 80s, I'd love to say Queens rule, but they don't. Queens lead. Being a queen means you are worthy to be a leader of people. The guests on our show do exactly that. They are leading the way in their businesses, families, and communities. They're taking their rightful place in the spotlight, leading and inspiring the developing queens in all of us. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Celynne Ace Scott. She's from right here in Edmond, Oklahoma, where nearby where I live. And I want to give a quick message to our listeners. So the Queen's Lead podcast historically has been geared toward women entrepreneurs who own their own businesses. And we're making a little bit of a shift. We want to promote and open this up to community entrepreneurs, people who are moving people forward, groups of people forward. So whether you are involved with a nonprofit or a community group, we welcome you to apply to be on our show. And today we're really excited to have Celynne here. She is a realtor by trade, but she's also got a lot of really amazing things going on in the Asian community here. And since it is AAPI Month this May, we are so excited to welcome you and celebrate you and your community and your culture. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to promote the newest venture for the Asian district, which is the Asian mini market.
Yeah, we are excited to hear about it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how, tell us about you. Tell us about Celynne. I know you go by Ace. Maybe there's a story there.
Yeah, there is a story there. And that's also because of real estate. But I actually started going by Ace whenever I started painting in high school. And,
Nice.
on the bottom of the canvases, it was too long to put Celynne Ace. It just takes too much space. So I started shortening it by going by Ace. And then my art teacher, who's still to this day is like one of my heroes, started calling me by Ace. Then it kind of just caught on. Then I went to college and then I was still going by Celynne, and then I got into real estate. And then everyone is reading your emails and it says everyone's mispronouncing it. I've been called Cheyenne. I've been called literally everything other than Celynne. So I just thought, let's just shorten it. Let's just shorten it to Ace. Let's just make it easier for everyone. So the moment that, I even changed my email, it's just ace.scott.
I love it.
Shorter. So but it's really nice because I think for me, for a little bit anyways, with the marketing that realtors have to do, Ace was just kind of catchy and it worked in my favor.
Definitely. So Ace, not a given name, just a name you've adopted.
Yeah, it is a part of my name. It's my first name is Celynne Ace. Then I have a middle name. It's kind of like Mary Kate.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
Kate
Gotcha.
Ashley.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's my understanding you moved here 20 years ago from the Philippines. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about that. What was that like?
Ooh,
You couldn't barely be over 20 anyway right now. So you must have been very young.
Oh, that's so nice of you. No, I was 12 years old. It was 2002. It was the year after 9/11.
Wow.
So traveling was like insane. I remember being so young because you don't really I just remember seeing a ton of news about 9/11. And then months later, my mom was like, yeah, that's where we're going to move to. And I remember
you're taking me where? What? No.
I remember being so scared. I was like, no, that's not it. But you're 11 and you're like, I really don't know what's happening. I don't know. I was really looking forward to it because she said that it was going to be going to be a whole new place. I feel like at 11, you didn't really have a concept of overseas, of abroad, of what's going on. Really, I was like, okay, all I heard about the US is that 9/11.
Yeah.
And I was not looking forward to it. So, but I actually was just making a TikTok about this. My first flight ever was I've never flown. And I was always a horrible traveler. And I always got car sick. So of course I got sick on the plane. And this kind of grody. This is the first time ever traveling. And for some reason, my mom didn't have me in the same row as her and my sister. So I look over and this man right next to me is like guzzling down this amazing bowl of soup with like noodles. And I saw what I thought was avocado. So I asked for an extra thing of wasabi. I am
Oh.
already a horrible traveler. I like go straight to the bathroom. This was my first experience of it. I was like, I guzzle down a handful, like a big chunk of wasabi because I thought it was avocado.
No, bless your
I go
heart.
straight to the tiny lavatory.
Oh.
But anyways, it was just a hectic flight. So that flight from the Philippines, we had to get a connecting flight to Narita, which is Japan. And that's where I had that bowl of ramen. Then I went to the bathroom and then the stewardess is like, "Are you okay?" And then from Narita, we got lost because we don't speak Japanese, and it's an international airport. It's a huge airport. There's buses, there's trains, obviously different terminals, but it's also in Japanese and we don't speak Japanese.
Oh man.
We get lost. I'm sorry, I'm taking a whole journey right now.
No, this is great. I love it. Keep it coming.
Yeah.
Story.
My mom also has never traveled. She's 40 something. So she's traveling with 2 kids, a single mom, 2 girls.
Oh, she was single, just you and your sister and mom together.
Yeah, my sister was 8 at that time. And I don't know, I think my sister was doing okay. She was a much better traveler than me. I mean, she obviously didn't have the incident with the wasabi. So my mom's freaking out because I'm over here like panting. The stewardess had to come to me and try to take care of me. So that happens. Then we get lost in the airport. Then we almost missed our flight, which was the connecting flight to Dallas.
Oh my gosh.
And that flight alone is about 13 hours plus.
Wow.
It's a long flight. And so my mom's exhausted at this point. Then she goes to customs, and I think she brought some dried fish, which to my mom's, to her defense, like the dried fish is delicious. Like if you've ever had dried fish with vinegar, yum. Like it's nice. It slaps. It's bomb.
That's sauce. I love that.
It's amazing, but she shouldn't have brought it. So customs stops us, and we're having to go through all of this. So my mom, you could only just imagine like the stress she was going through. Then she gets stopped by customs. Imagine. She's having to speak a whole nother language. And then, but at the very end of it, this guy who was checking our passports, he was this giant. Like when I say giant, I could be wrong, but he was like a 7 foot tall giant, like big black man. And he was scary. Oh he was like, so scared because he was just authoritative, and he was going through our passport. And then he finishes and he shuts the passport, he shuts my passport, he looks at my sister, he looks at my mom, and he says, "Welcome to America." And my mom breaks down.
My God, I just got chills. Oh my God.
With the most stressful flight. Yeah. But
what brought her? I'm literally about to cry. What brought a single mother from the Philippines? I mean, what was the opportunity that she saw in America? Did you have connections here or?
Yeah. Okay. So during the Vietnam War, so let's take it back all the way back.
Yeah, let's go back. Rewind.
During the Vietnam War, my uncle, who is originally, I want to say from I think around El Reno, that area.
Oh, okay.
He was originally from there. I'm going to hate this because he's going to be like, "I told you that's not where I'm from," but it was kind of right around that area. I do remember going to rodeos in El Reno. So I want to say he's from El Reno. Anyways, he grew up Oklahoma boy, like full on, born and raised Oklahoma. He goes to the Navy. He joins the Navy. He goes to the Philippines during the Vietnam War and among other places. And he meets my aunt and they get married. And then once they get married, he was able to bring her over here. And my aunt and my mom were very close. I think they both were living kind of in the Subic area where the naval port was. And I think it still is there. But long story short, my aunt becomes a citizen. And at that point, you're allowed to bring a family member over, I think after 5 years. I don't know the whole entire process, but she was able to bring my mom over. But But here's the kicker, that was back in the 70s, and it took 20 years for her paperwork to get completely done, sibling to sibling, for you to bring, like, for a sister to bring another sibling in.
Wow.
The paperwork took 20 years. And so she waited a while to like have a family. She waited a while because she thought that this was going to be like, she was going to leave the Philippines to go to America. So
Yeah.
she didn't have me until she was in her late 30s, which is not, I mean, that's not anything new now.
Yeah. But 32
then,
years ago, that was a long time to wait to have a child.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was waiting for her opportunity to come over here. And then, I think you could only wait so long. And then she had me and my sister, and then her paperwork got finalized. And then, which is funny because after hers got finalized, since we were both minors, it didn't take much for mine and my sister's paperwork to get processed for us to come over here.
Okay.
So that's my whole story.
What a story. Oh my goodness. I can't, like, how brave of your mother to make that journey on her own after that incredibly ridiculously long waiting period. People wonder why immigration is what it is. Hello, can we put less barriers, please?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I agree. Yeah, but that took 20 plus years for her paperwork to get, finalized and for us to come over here. But
here you are living the actual
the right
dream
way or whatever.
Right? Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, but here I am, and I'm actually living the dream.
You literally are living the dream and moving the Filipino culture forward right here in Oklahoma City, which is incredible to me. So I have to pause to ask this because I know, like, I want to know some things about the Filipino culture and like your favorite things. Like, so we all have those things. Like you talked about your mom bringing the dried fish, right? Like, okay, that's not something everybody understands, but what's something that you absolutely love about the Filipino culture that just says home to you and says like, this is us? What's representative that you love?
I can honestly, I feel like I can say it's the people. My husband and I actually got married in the Philippines. We had two not weddings, but yeah, two weddings. We had two weddings. We had one here, which was kind of like a reception type here in Oklahoma City. And then we decided to just not really elope, but have the smallest version of a wedding possible. And we went back home and we got married over there. And I think everyone's just always so warm and welcoming. He was able to, before I went, this kind of got started my whole volunteering aspect of what I'm doing now. But before we went back home, I ordered a bunch of soccer balls and basketballs, and I packed like a whole full cart that I could of I just went to Dollar Tree and I bought a bunch of coloring books and little crayons and little things like that. I think I bought a few posters, just like educational stuff. And my husband, my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law's husband, all three of them were able to go to a smaller fishing village and give away the toys that we had. We packed a large suitcase to just try to fit everything in there. And then we deflated all the balls and inflated them when we got there.
Yeah.
So that way we were able to pack all of that. But what I'm trying to get at is these people had, like, when I say nothing, they had nothing. The hoop basketball, by the way, is huge in the Philippines. But they had a wire up on a old piece of board as a hoop, so they could play basketball. But on that same breath, like, they had nothing. And I remember my husband and my family who were able to give away those toys and coloring books were talking about how they were like given food and water, and people were like treating them like, hey, here, you're giving us something. We literally have nothing. We have some food. Here you go. And so that I think is what's super special.
Yeah, the people are super special and giving and community oriented for sure. And want to give what they have. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so what's the thing that is like the embarrassing part of your culture? Like, For me, like my great, like the white Southern grandmother is going to feed you, but like I cannot stop my grandmother from feeding people forcefully. Like, is there something like that you're just like?
No, that's very similar to us. That's very similar to us. Like on exactly what I was talking about. They were trying to feed them, and at that same point, they're like, no, I'm not hungry, and everyone's always trying to feed you. Yes. No, that's one, but I've got a really good one, and it's all right. It's the aunties. It's the titas. They're called titas, and they're the older women in the Philippines, and everyone is so vocal. When I say vocal, they're very outspoken. And if you've gained like 5 pounds, they will let you know. Oh, okay. But they'll also still keep feeding you. They will,
honey, like, you're fat. Have some food. I can hear it now.
The reason why I have gained weight is because you keep feeding me. But they'll say, not necessarily my aunt. They're called the titas. If like you're Filipino, you could totally relate. Like the titas are always like, hey, you're so beautiful, but you've gained weight. Or it's the first thing is like, you've gained some weight. And it's not even, it sounds, I can't really translate it, but that's the exact translation of it, is they're just kind of calling you like a little, what they think is like a darling little name to describe how you gain weight.
Yeah, okay.
That's one thing.
It's like the Spanish version of the little gordita. Like you're just a little fatty, like you're so cute, but you're little fat.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly that. It's just, they're always super, super vocal and honest about it. That's one thing that I'm like, dang, like that's
I love it. That's
it. That's really it.
All right. Okay. And so your full-time everyday job is a real estate agent here in the Metro, correct?
Yes.
But what else are you working on? I know we are working with some things with the Asian district up in the North Oklahoma City area. So talk to us about that and what's coming up.
Yeah. Can I start with how I got started with that?
Oh, yes, please do.
Awesome. So last year, I was thinking about joining Mrs. Oklahoma, and I got connected with former Mrs. Oklahoma, Samantha Vu, and she is I want to say she's one of like the pillars of the Asian district too. She's carried the Asian district by her being Mrs. Oklahoma. I think that was always a part of her platform, and I don't want to speak for her, but I know that that's something that she's kind of always done. So I was having lunch with her, and a mutual friend of ours was sitting and having lunch with us, and she mentioned volunteering for the Asian Night Market Festival. So at that point, I knew I wanted to do something. I knew I wanted to get involved, and my son was not even a year old at that point, and I thought about like, gosh, volunteering with like a 2-year-old and an almost 2-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. And I didn't have full-time help with them at that point. Mm-hmm. And I just kept thinking, I don't know. I don't really know that I want to do this. And then I get home and then I open Instagram, and then there was a story from the Asian district saying we're looking for volunteers. Oddly enough, that same day that we were talking about it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And I was a little bit excited about it, but like I said, I was leery because I was like, I don't even have full-time help right now. And I have literal babies. Like one of them was still breastfeeding. So I was like, I don't know that I could do this. But long story short, I was able to vice co-chair the Asian Night Market Festival last year and a part of the programming committee. And everyone that I volunteered with was so passionate and so great about bringing representation and celebrating AAPI that after the event, being so exhausted, I mean, it was like 48 hours of full on working. I got like a little bit of a break, and I got back in touch with Jenny Wen, who is the chair for the Asian Night Market Festival this year, and she is the interim president while Mike is still in Vietnam for the Asian District Cultural Association. I got in touch with her and I said, how do I bring this to Edmond? I live in Edmond. How do I bring this? So she was kind of telling me like how to get started, and then I just took her out to lunch, and she said, why don't you just partner up with the Asian District? Like, this is something we've always wanted to do. You know, I think you will have the exact same or have the exact same values that we do. Why don't we just partner up and then you bring it to Edmond, which now here we are.
Now here we are. Oh my gosh, what a great story. Yeah. So what is the market doing? Is it a once a year type of a thing or ongoing?
Yeah. Okay. So the first one ever will be on May 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. And it's a much, much smaller version of the Asian Night Market Festival. Last year, we saw close to 40,000 people at the Asian District. Yeah.
Wow.
Nuts. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I hope I see it closer to maybe 5. We're hoping for that. But it's very modeled after the Asian Night Market Festival. And it's also something that we would love to promote. We're using it to promote the Asian District. We're having several booths and vendors and food tents from the Asian District itself, and then some local Edmond businesses to be a part of the foodie alley that we have. We'll also have a programming. We will do a mini fashion show that'll showcase Oriental and traditional wear. We will also have a children's area that I'm super excited about. And we're going to try to make it a little bit more educational. There's obviously going to be some games, but we want to highlight that this year is the year of the rabbit and the year of the cat. So we'll have games that kind of goes along that theme. What else do we have? But it's just going to be a smaller version of the Asian Night Market. And that's why we're calling it the Asian Mini Market.
I love it. So that's coming up May 13th, which is in just a couple of weeks from this airing.
Yes.
So very timely. So get out from 5 to 8, May 13th. And what is the location?
It's going to be in downtown Edmond, and the place is actually called the Festival Marketplace. That's where they hold the farmers market for the summer and spring and summer months.
Awesome. Okay. Love it. Can't wait to come and experience all of that culture and food and everything. So talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges that the AAPI community faces here in Oklahoma. You know, there's only so much that we know when we're not from that culture. And sometimes it's difficult for us to really know how to navigate and support the need of other cultures. So talk to us a little bit about that and kind of some of the challenges that the community as a whole is facing and how others can pitch in and help.
I feel like the biggest challenge and the reason why I'm bringing it to Edmond is that there's just not enough representation. There's just not enough people saying that, hey, I'm from this culture, and not even people saying it. I just don't think that other like medias and other platforms talk about the community. And I just don't think that we're very much represented. So at this point, it's our job to go out and to start mini markets and to start, the Asian Night Market Festival, to be able to bring representation forward. Because if nobody else is going to do it, who will? I feel like that's been kind of the job that we've taken on, this generation specifically. I feel like the older generation, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, but I feel like they're always kind of just hiding it. It wasn't ever, like cool, and they always wanted to just assimilate, and they just always wanted to be able to speak fluently and to not talk about their culture, because unfortunately, I feel like it was kind of frowned upon, or not frowned upon. It just wasn't celebrated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I think the biggest struggle that generation had was just assimilating and kind of just hiding behind that and not really talking about their culture. But now this generation is like, no, we're cool. Like, this is awesome. Like, you went through so much, like even just my story, like with my mom, like, no, I'm not going to hide that. No, I'm going to bring rice to school. I'm going to make sure my children will be eating rice. They know how to use a chopstick. They know all the seasonings that goes into Asian, cuisine. And that was one thing that I always thought about, because I feel like Asian food, everyone kind of always made fun of me by bringing it to school. And so this year, or not this year, but with my children, I want to be able to include that and make them be proud of that, because that's a part of our culture.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I went on a whole nother
No,
tangent,
this
but I
is
think,
great. I mean, I do
yeah,
think some of that comes like from your elders and people in the Asian and Filipino community. Do you feel like they were hiding because I mean, there was some pretty systemic racism for them during that time. And I know even just as recently as COVID, there have been some
yeah,
pretty screwed up things as
yeah,
it relates to racism against Asian communities. And so
yeah.
do you think that was part of what lended them to trying to hide and assimilate to become more Americanized?
Yes, yeah. And I think a lot of it, they just want to be, I feel like, they think that they weren't taken seriously,
Mhm. Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
if you have an accent, if you don't use the right words, if you don't try to sound American, whatever that sounds like, um,
Right.
that you're not taken seriously. I just
Mhm.
feel like that was their biggest fear, is they're like, I don't want to highlight this. I want to blend in. I want to assimilate. I
Mm.
want to, yeah. I mean, in as little words as I can say it, not hide, but yeah, kind of hiding what they grew up, um, what they experienced, their culture, which is so sad to me because
Yeah.
yeah, because of systemic racism. Yeah, because I'm
Yeah.
sure, I mean, it wasn't easy for me, so I can only imagine what that would be like as an adult. Somebody
Yeah.
like talking to you, like, "Hey, why do you have an accent? I can't understand you," So,
Sure. Absolutely.
yeah,
It's such a mind block for people who have never traveled or been anywhere else or understood another culture to think
yeah,
that because I can't communicate with this person is less than or stupid or not on the same level as me, which is completely not the case. I mean, let's be honest, trees and plants communicate with a language that we don't understand as human beings. So, yeah,
yeah,
another human race is not less than because we don't understand them,
right,
right?
right.
Completely ridiculous thought pattern.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's improved for you and your children? Is it getting better? Are there still screwed up things that we need to be aware of and, rage against?
A little bit. I think it's getting, this is really sad to say, but I think my grandchildren will have it better.
Yeah.
I hope my children never have to go through the type of bullying I went through. It's better for me because I think, sorry, that made me a little sad.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
no, it's okay.
I want to talk about the hard stuff because if we
Yeah,
don't know what you've been through, we don't know how to help and move things
yeah.
forward.
Okay. Sorry, I have to just pause for a sec.
Absolutely.
And I wore false lashes today. So I can't
Well,
be
you look
okay.
fabulous.
That's it. That's it. That was it. I just needed to remember I'm wearing makeup that I kept crying. But yeah, I think it's getting, I think it will get better. Sorry. Okay, we might have to move past this. I just don't
Oh, of
know that I
course,
can.
that's
Sorry,
okay.
I don't know that I
Everything is
can.
editable. It's totally fine. We
Okay.
edit everything. So yeah, you don't have to talk about anything you don't want to. I just want you to be able to highlight what's important to you and what.
Yeah, no, it is important to me. I just don't know that I can fully talk about it quite yet. And I
It's all
thought that
right.
I could, but like now I'm like, oh, um, sorry, I have to find a little booklet.
Totally fine. You're totally
uh,
fine.
uh, okay, well, want to ask me something else?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I really
No,
want to be
it's
able,
totally
I
fine.
really do want to be able to talk about this. It's just, I didn't know it was going to bring up all this stuff from like, this is from middle school
Yeah,
and I'm like a full blown adult.
right. Yeah. I think about that crap regularly. I mean, I was a really
Yeah.
heavy kid. I was a heavy kid. I was a loud, obnoxious kid that just got made fun of constantly for other reasons. It wasn't my race. Clearly, I'm just a white, blue-eyed Oklahoman. Like, so that wasn't it. But there's definitely some oppression that like stuff bubbles back up
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
way back then. Sometimes you're like, geez, I didn't even know that was still affecting me. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I haven't talked about this in therapy in a while because I've been I've been talking about well, I have been talking about this. I just didn't know that I was gonna feel this way about it. I think it's because I'm talking about my kids.
Right. Yeah.
And I just don't ever want them to have to go through that. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. It's not gonna stop. They're still on.
You look great. I don't know how you wear them. I mean, like they look like I couldn't even tell they were fake.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
So
did dabble a little bit in makeup too, but it's
well, the artist in you.
I just had to do everything.
Yeah.
I always have this like this mindset of like, oh, you can do that, so can I, with no formal training.
Hell yeah, you can. I love that.
That's
great.
that's always the mindset that I have, that I keep with everything. Like I see somebody try to do pottery and I'm like, I don't know how to throw a clay around, but I can make a vase too.
That's right. I can do it too. I love it. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Well, I don't know about better.
I can do it too. That's right. And that's the way to move
Oh.
forward. Is just keep on trying, right?
Right. I'm sorry about that. Okay.
You're totally fine.
Maybe something else.
Maybe something else.
Yeah.
Talk about language a little bit. I mean, obviously you all spoke Filipino as young children. Do you still have you kept that language alive with your children and in your households?
Yeah. Yes. So it's called Tagalog, which is I want to say it is a tribe. The best way to describe it is it's a bunch of tribal languages mixed in with Spanish.
Okay.
We were colonized by the Spaniards, and so our religion, it's mostly, except for the southern part of the Philippines, it's mostly Muslim. But we are highly, when I say like highly Catholics, like big time Catholics. Like
Okay.
when one year I was there around Holy Week, and the whole city of Manila, it's huge, giant, bustling, loud city. It was dead quiet. Nothing was open. It was during Holy Week. I think it was like Good Friday.
Wow.
So the Tagalog is this my first ever language. And then I started learning how to speak English whenever I was in elementary school. And then I moved here, and then talking about assimilating again. I forgot it for a little bit because I was getting made fun of because of my accent. So I was like, I'm going to stop this completely. So I started watching, I watched a lot of Clueless. I watched,
I love it. Yeah.
I watched Harry Potter. But I knew I couldn't have that accent either, because that's still an accent. But I watched a lot of Clueless. I watched a lot of Harry Potter. I watched a lot of TV. And I know everyone's always like, TV's bad for your kids. But I mean, to me, it's what made me fluent in this language. It's what made me get rid of my accent and, assimilate more. The biggest learning part of it was that it taught me a lot more vocabulary words than a dictionary ever would. My mom would sit me in front. I would sit in front of a dictionary, and I would be like, I don't know how to say that. So I don't even know how to, I can't even try to pretend like I like doing this. I'd rather watch TV. And then I learned, slang and the lingo. But having 2 kids right now, my goal is for them to be able to speak Tagalog as well. Funny enough, my husband, he picks up on a few things, but it's mostly food related. Like what you were saying about your grandma, like we all just love feeding each other. So everything he knows in Tagalog, it's either pancit, which is noodles, or adobo, which is a stew. That's all he knows. And that's kind of all my children know right now, but I've gotten a little bit better about it. I'll talk about, they're learning about their hands, their feet, their face. And so I'll start naming off eyes, mata, like I'll follow up with whatever it would be in Tagalog. So yeah, I hope that they get to speak Tagalog. I hope I get to bring him back home. I know at that age, if I just bring him home for like 2 weeks, they'll be fluent.
Yeah. Just immerse them into that culture. That's why I wondered if you, was it common whenever you moved here with your mom that you spoke Tagalog in the home and then English outside the home?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. And then even with my mom too, because she also had to get a job. she also stopped speaking Tagalog, and she started speaking to us in English because she also wanted to speak better English and wanted to be able to communicate better in English. And so that's one thing about being an immigrant and keeping your culture alive when you're trying to assimilate and you're trying to speak a whole new language and you're trying to communicate in this whole new language. Not that it's a bad thing. Obviously it can be, because I was talking to my husband about this the other night because I was speaking to my my 1-year-old in Tagalog, who, by the way, catches on more than my 2-year-old.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how, I really don't know how that works, but he's been repeating the words I've been saying to him. So I've been speaking it more with him because he just soaks it all in.
Oh
But my
yeah.
husband goes, I can't believe you still remember all of that. Then I told him this story that for a while there, I forgot about it. I went back home, and for like the first week I was there, I was so embarrassed. I like could understand what they were saying, but I couldn't respond back. It was so frustrating because you want to be able to communicate, and then, you know, you're gone for like 3 years, and then you can't speak the language you were speaking since you were a baby.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a totally different experience than someone who's always just spoke one language.
Right.
Who thinks they're smarter than the whole world. Whatever. Like, seriously.
Yeah. And also English, by the way, the toughest language.
Oh yeah. I can't imagine.
It's so tough. All the rules that you guys have. And then how come it's dough, but then it's also tough? It doesn't make sense.
No, it makes zero sense. No, I can't imagine how.
That?
No. Like it's ridiculous. I apologize on behalf of our language as a whole, because it is absurd compared to any other language someone could try and learn. English is the most absurd language.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
I've tried to learn Spanish because, like I said, Tagalog has a lot of Spanish words into it. So it was so much easier for me to learn Spanish than it was to learn English. So
how many languages do you speak, Ace?
Oh, well, I wouldn't say I'm fluent in Spanish. I understand you in Spanish, and my Spanish is broken.
Yeah.
I can understand you completely. I try to, I don't even want to get started because I'm also trying to learn Mandarin right now.
Nice.
So
okay.
I feel like I have an affinity to languages now. I feel like it's one way to like learn someone's culture, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I love that. So what are some of the things that we can expect to see at the market whenever we come on May 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. in Edmond? What can we expect to learn about the Asian Pacific Islander culture that we may not know? And what might we be surprised to learn?
I am actually trying to close in with a vendor right now who will be bringing Filipino desserts. And I feel like everyone, you know, when you think of like of France, you think of a croissant, right? And when you think of like even Thailand right now, the mango and sticky rice combo that's becoming really big. So I am trying to close in on this one vendor who I hope will become a vendor. And I'm just going to say this now. She's going to be doing it.
We're going to speak this and manifest it into existence. Exactly. You're coming, you're going to be here. We need your dessert.
Exactly. So you'll be able to try some Filipino desserts, which I think is just a little bit different than what you're kind of used to. We use a lot of more organic, not that flour isn't organic, but we use coconut oil, we use palm sugar, we use lots of very like just tropical ingredients when it comes to our desserts.
Wait, naturally occurring ingredients? Not like naturally occurring ingredients? What a change. Yeah, which, you know, my sister, she's vegan, so she's able to eat a lot of Filipino desserts because it's cooked with coconut milk and like I said, like palm sugar. So not using a lot of dairy. They're all very sweet. Like that's not, you're not gonna lose any of the sweetness factor when it comes to desserts, but you will, it's a little less filling. It's a little less, like you don't feel as bad when you're eating it. So you'll be eating a lot of it. Nice.
So that's one thing about the Filipino culture that we will be showcasing is some of the food. but I'm really also excited about showcasing other cultures, because I think my biggest thing with this is not just to highlight Filipino culture, but also as a community of, just like Southeast Asian and Asian cultures.
Yeah.
So right now we have Kanpai drummers, Japanese drummers who will be performing. We will have a lion dance group who will also be performing. We will have a group of Laotian dancers.
Cool.
We'll have K-pop towards the end to bring the Korean. But yeah, that's the program, I think, will be amazing. And I think that's where you're mostly going to get, the most type of culture when it comes to the event itself, besides the food, because I can honestly say this as an Asian woman, our love language is food.
Yeah.
We love feeding everyone we know. And yeah, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to the lineup of the performers that we'll have for the event.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait to come and bring my teenagers and just shove them right into the middle of this Asian culture. So listen, guys, the Asian district is not just for Asians. It's like completely populated by this wonderful group of humans that want to share their culture with you. So if you are Spanish, if you are Black, if you are white, if you are anything other than Asian, come and immerse yourself into this community who wants to open themselves up to you and expose you to their beautiful food, their beautiful culture, their amazing languages, dances, instruments, singing, all of the Asian things. All are welcome there. I can only imagine that you would say the same thing. So come. Expose yourself, teach your children what they need to know about the other cultures in our community, because it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes. And that is the goal. That's the goal, is for everyone to come, for everyone to enjoy this, for everyone to see the culture, the little culture that we can pack in from 5 to 8, just whatever we can get in there. So we do plan on having this annually. As I have been talking to the sponsors who are helping us with this event, I'm also trying to lock them in for next year. I'm trying to find new sponsors for next year. I'm trying to make this, my goal is to make this a little bit bigger than this year, almost every year, just a little bit bigger. I mean, I don't think we could ever compare to the magnitude that is the Asian Night Market Festival. But I think it's a little bit more accessible for people who live up north too. For people who live in Arcadia and Jones and whatever else up North Guthrie, to come to Edmond, to downtown Edmond, and enjoy as many Asian cultures as we can for that evening.
Absolutely. And this is just the beginning, just a toe dip into this culture. And then we can begin to frequent the Asian district and these businesses that are represented at the community and, do business with them on a regular basis, not just stay in our own little hidden hole where we congregate. There's so much more opportunity to learn and experience other cultures right here in Oklahoma City area, that I'm so proud to be from here and see all of these cultures moving forward and exposing themselves to the ignorant. I mean, we're just ignorant, right? We don't know until we know. So thank you for leading this and doing this. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about yourself, your history, or what's going on with the Asian market?
Sorry. I'm sorry. Something just fell outside. No. I do want to, you're right about everything that you said. We're utilizing this event, the Asian Mini Market, to highlight the Asian district, because there's so much. I'll send you the website, but if you go on that website, we have so many events happening. During this summer, we have a movie night that highlights Asian movies. I'm sure Everything Everywhere All at Once will be playing.
So good, by the way. So good. I was so impressed. Oh my gosh.
I know. I need to rewatch it again, because I think I've missed a few things. Like the first time you watched it, you're just like in awe of what's happening and you're trying to keep up, and you're like, I definitely need to rewatch this, but I would love to rewatch it. But we have summer night events, summer movie events. We also have culinary tours. We'll have, like I said, the Asian Night Market Festival, which is in August. This past year, we already did a lunar celebration at the Myriad Gardens. We also did a takeover during the Thunder game, during the Lunar New Year. So there's so
Yes.
many things happening. So just us bringing this to Edmond is just really going to highlight all the events and everything that is happening in the Asian district. So
I love that. What is that website? Say it here so everyone can go.
It's AsianDistrictOK.com. That's all it is.
AsianDistrictOK.com. AsianDistrictOK.com. Go and search there. Find out what's going on. I absolutely love that you brought up that movie. And the more I see this representation coming out with actors and movies and dolls, like there's finally dolls that look like look like you, right? Like
I know.
I was not used to growing up that way. Every freaking Cabbage Patch doll I even had was blonde hair and blue eyed. Okay.
Me too.
That is a problem, right? Like, can we get some more representation? So the fact that you are moving this community forward and allowing for that representation and integration into the society, I just appreciate you so much. And I celebrate you for what you're doing and your culture. And I'm so blessed to know you now and be connected. And I can't wait to follow you and hopefully see you at the market.
Thank you so much, Amy. This has been super fun. Thank you for letting me. This is a big passion project for me. It's very personal to me. So I want to do everything that I can to promote this and promote the Asian district.
Absolutely. We are so excited for it and for you. And thank you for being a queen leader in this movement. So we appreciate you and celebrate you. Everyone go over and follow Ace on her channels. We'll have them linked in the profile here, and go over to AsianMarketOK.com. AsianDistrictOK.com to learn more about what they're doing, and follow Ace also for your real estate needs. She's right here moving and shaking in the Oklahoma City and Edmond area. So I'm sure she'd appreciate that connection as well.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.